talking about William Grayson Fulbright, born October the 8th, 1875. He died in 1963 in X-Ray, Texas. His father was Lansford Samuel Fulbright. His mother was Mary Emily Beller. His wife was Carrie Vivian Bryant. They had several children: Cora Fulbright, Hilma Fulbright, Eva Fulbright, Era F. Fulbright, Alma F. Fulbright, Vivian Fulbright, William Carl Fulbright, John Earl Fulbright, and J. L. Fulbright. So here's a little story about William Grayson Fulbright, and they called him Billy.
This is Wiley Ray Hodges. I was in my grandmother, Wiley Ray Fulbright, married H.B. Hodges, my granddad and them. Her brother, one of her brothers was William Grayson Fulbright, called Uncle Billy. My father, Herman Walter Hodges, my brother Eddie Dwayne Hodges, and I would go out to their farm, which was near Ranger in Stevens County. They had a regular farm, and Aunt Vivian, of course, she was a housekeeper, and he had a farm. But one of the things on the farm is that one of his side deals was syrup. He would plant sugar cane on his farm, stalks 6 to 8 foot long or whatever. They would be gathered. They'd be cut down when they were matured, perhaps in the fall. Now, to prepare those, this farm in the Ranger boom, they drilled oil, but they had a gas well. They didn't cap it. They said he could use the gas. He laid a 2-inch line, probably 800 feet from the house, up on top of the ground. The gas was piped into the house. They had gas lights on the walls. They had gas lights anywhere they needed it in there that's safe. They heated with gas. He even had some gas in his barn out there, like where he milked. It didn't cost him anything. But then in the syrup mill, they had to cook the juice off of the sugar cane after it was squeezed. They had cooked it in a copper kettle, which is probably 3 or 4 foot wide, 6, 8 foot long, maybe a foot deep, and is on legs and is under a little shelter out there by the barn. And then when they squeezed the sugar cane and they put it in this copper, they turned the heat on, and Uncle Billy would know when and how long the syrup to cook. And then in order to get the syrup, to get the juice out of the cane, it had to go through a squeezing process. On a post out there, say 4 foot high off the ground, was 2 round cylinders, kind of like spools of thread that you buy in the store, and it would feed this sugar cane stalks after the leaves were stripped off in the field, and they'd feed it in one at a time. It'd squeeze the juice, and a little spout there would take it off into a container. The container full of stuff would go into the copper pan, and that's where they cooked it. Now then, to propel this, being a round deal, they had a long, like a wagon tongue from that 2 spools on top of it, and they had a horse that they would put out in the end of that, and he could walk around and around and around, and he propelled that 2 spools, and they have to bend down to let that go over them, and get up and raise and stuff. So they had to allow the stooping and the standing in order for the horses to pull that rod of that, like a wagon tongue. Mm-hmm. And that was the process of the syrup. And they would sell it as far as like a memory. And it had some neighbors that grew some, so he'd do that too with them. That was an interesting story about the gas well and his syrup making. I'm thinking about this Uncle Billy deal with his gas on his farm. And they used the gas for anything, heating in the barns, heating everywhere, gas lights on the wall. And then he grew cane and made syrup every year, lots of it. He planted sugar cane in the pastures. It'd probably be 6 to 12 foot stalks. And when that was ripe, then he had a little shelter out there, and he had this cooker under it. The cooker consisted of about a 4 foot, 1 foot deep, 6 8 foot long copper pan. Under that, he had the gas burners, and he could heat this syrup from the syrup mill and cook it down to syrup and put it in little buckets. In order to do that, they had to have a squeezer. It was a squeezer. It was on a post. It was 2 pieces of steel like a spool, and you would feed the stalks into that, and it would come out in the bucket, and they'd pour it over in the copper to cook down. In order to propel that, you had an arm out there, say 10, 12 foot. You put a horse on it and lead it, and he walked round and around and around, and he turned this 2 spools, I call it, and as the stalks went through, it squeezed the juice out of them. And that's how they run that. Then the gas was free. He cooked the syrup. We put it in the cans, and they sold it in the market. He had lots of it. So that's my memory of Uncle Billy and my dad and my little brother. We'd go out there and visit him and Aunt Vivian. That's all I can remember about her Fulbright family, her brothers.